So if you want to use the spreadsheet midterm review program of Regents questions, what you want to do is you want to right-click, well, you want to open that link, and then when it comes up, you want to save the file, ideally to a jump drive or something like that that you can write to and move from place to place. But I'm just going to save it to my desktop. Okay, so we're going to save it to the desktop. And once it's down there, the important step is that you have to unzip that file. It's a zip folder. So in order for the cool stuff to work, it needs to be unzipped. So once you have it on the desktop here, it has a little zipper. And at least if you're on a Windows PC, what you can do is right-click on that, extract all. It's going to put a copy on the desktop. And what's going to be in this folder are 878 pictures of Regents questions from 2002 to 2010 and one Excel spreadsheet, which is really what we need. Once that's extracted, you can go right into the folder, and I've named it with zeros at the front, so it should be the first file, though it could be the last file. Each one of these is just a picture of a question. This is the file we need, the spreadsheet. Now again, I recommend you have this unzipped folder on a jump drive or something so you can use it in different computers and keep your data with you. But the important part, if you want the fun part to work, there's some VBA code in this spreadsheet. It doesn't install anything on your computer, but what it does allow it to do is to run some code that's going to let us have some forms and things. So if you're in the newer Excel, what you want to do is you want to click on this options button. Again, you can see this in the instructions tab. It's going to tell you the same thing. And you have to enable. It's basically you giving an okay that even though this has some code, you're going to allow it to run. Now, the fun way to do that once you've enabled that is to hit this button that says Start Program. And what this does is it allows you to look at questions. So right now I only have it for questions for the first half of the year. There's 341 of those. This button here, it says only include selected topics. If you check that, when you go under Options, Tags, these are different topics within the course, within the year as I've categorized them. So let's say, for argument's sake, we want to see some questions on basic motion concepts. So I'll check that, close that. I want to see 5 questions. And I'm going to start exam. But I do want to point out this checkbox, include previously used questions. What that's going to do is as you use this, it's going to keep track of which ones you've used and which ones you haven't. If you check that, it can pull from all of them. If you leave it unchecked, you're going to just see questions you haven't seen before. Now each of these is a question, 5 of them picked at random from the relevant questions. You click on that. Excuse me. It's a question about vectors. Which vector diagram represents the greatest magnitude of displacement? So the question that has the greatest, you're going to pick, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4, just like all Regents questions. Let's say you think that the answer is 1, and you click that. It's going to say, oh, nope, that's not it. Gives us the answer, although you can turn that off. And you have to pick a difficulty level. So how hard did you find that question to do? So let's say you thought it was medium, you might click that. Now if you go back, the answer's 2. It'll give you correct, but it's still going to show red. Oops. Sometimes that happens. So it's red. And one of the things you can do is you can take some notes, and it will store that with the question, so you can see the notes you wrote. You can also put it in a book bag, which is a place for you to study. If you need to see a reference table, you can hit this button, and it'll give you the pages of the reference table. You can actually change how it's tagged if you want, or even add your own tag. You probably won't need to do that, but you can. And you can keep doing this as much as you want. Now, if you want a hard copy of the exam, I don't recommend printing it out. What it's going to do is it's going to plop the picture of each question onto a spreadsheet. I wouldn't do it at 100% zoom, maybe something like 75% zoom. Don't print from school. And it gives you a new spreadsheet with those questions on there if you wanted to see them. So I'll go ahead and close that. Let's say you wanted to see a particular question. You can actually put the exam year. Let's say 2008 June. Exams are always January or June. Problem number 1. 2008. You can see it's going to give you that. And the same interface we had before. Some of the neat features of this: show book bag. Anything where you check that book bag button, it's going to show up as a place. Maybe ones you want to keep track of. Also, anything that's had a comment, it's going to show you the summary of the question and the comments, so it makes it easy to look up later. Probably a more useful way to use that is if you go to Show Tag Summary, this yellow button. What it does is it goes unit by unit, or concept by concept, and it's going to show you which questions you've gotten wrong the first time you did it, which ones you've gotten right, and which ones you've never seen. And it gives you the percentage. So how many times you got it right and wrong the first time, and any time that you've seen the question. And you can get a paper version. Another way to see this is if you go to How Am I Doing, and you click on that, it's going to create a chart. Now, I haven't done any questions really, but it's going to give you a running tally percentage-wise of how you're doing on the different topics, and that'll help you decide maybe what you want to review. This button is just for encouragement. It says you can do it. That's its only function. Options, you can actually change a couple things. One, you can have the questions take up the whole screen. You can have it close automatically, which is what I have it set to do. And by default, right now, it's set to show the answer as soon as you make your first guess, even if it's wrong. You can uncheck that, and it'll let you keep guessing. Something else just for fun under the options, right and wrong. Anytime you get a question right, it's going to pull from one of these boxes, and you can type in whatever you want as your feedback. Same thing for whatever's wrong. And in terms of those tags, you can actually make your own. And this is showing you how many are in each tag or each category. You can think about it like that. This is just how many questions you want to show up in your quote-unquote exam. I know this may all be a little bit overwhelming, and some of you may not have gotten the code part to work. And if you have a Mac, it's not going to run any of this user form stuff, but it will still work as a spreadsheet. And if you click on this, it's going to pull up that question. Those all tabs. And it has the unit, it has the tags, questions. Where this becomes powerful is when you highlight this first row and you go to Data Filter. You can filter by anything you want. In particular, as you go far to the right here, we have these concepts. So let's say you want to see all the questions that deal with vertical constant acceleration problems. Well, for that column, filter for true, and the list now condenses to just those problems. So you can look at them. Here's one. Here's another one. Here's the answer. You can still mark it as a book bag. You can still take notes if you want to. It's just another way to look at the questions. Another way that's kind of fun to look at, especially as you get towards the end of the year with the Regents exam, the way the Regents exam lays them out is always very similar. So let's say you wanted to see only question number 1. You'll be able to see very quickly that these questions are very similar. Not always the same, but you'll be able to see that. There's a certain order they go in. Again, you may want to look at the instruction sheet here if you're trying to get it to work. When you download the file, it's a zip file. You're going to want to make sure you unzip it, right-click unzip, and look for the Excel file. When you open that Excel file, you're going to have to enable the macros if you want to be able to do all the user form stuff. Also, because it saves to this file to keep track of which questions you've done and any notes you've made about the questions, it's not a bad idea to save this onto a jump drive or some other device that you can read and write from. If you want to just use it on a single computer, that's fine. But if you're trying to run it off of, say, a CD, it's not going to be able to write to that file. So hopefully you find this useful.